everyone, and welcome to the 10th anniversary episode of Dim in the Light. If this is episode number 10 for both you and I, thank you and congratulations. It's nice having you all here. It's nice being able to talk into the void from time to time. You know, it does help. It helps. And this is Mental Health Awareness Week. So, you know, if you know anyone that does suffer from listen, man, as far as I'm concerned, we all suffer from mental health. We all suffer from mental health. It's just kind of whether you admit it or not. Maybe if someone's feeling down, or if you know someone that feels down regularly, send them along this Dim in the Light stuff, because, hey, it could help. It could help. One prime example I thought I would tell you of performance in some way or another helping mental health was, actually probably one of the highlights of anything that I've ever done on stage was, I done a Wandering Barman show, and I've got this pal who's a regular, and he's a bit down, and he kind of lost his way a little bit, and he was really just not doing that great. He was, on benefits and he just lost his way. And he came and saw one of my shows, and I met him about a month later, and he went, "Chris, I have completely, I'm trying my best to change it all around, man." So he's like a saxophone player, and he just didn't play sax. He's like a professional saxophone player, and I think one of the things that was getting him down was that he didn't play saxophone anymore, and he started playing saxophone again, writing tunes. He got himself like a little kind of job. It's like working for the post office, but not, you put like the letters that people don't really want or need through the letter boxes, but fuck it, who cares? Like, the point is that that particular job was giving him like a ritual, stuff to do with his day, a pattern, which is really important for mental health. Is to find some sort of pattern that, that you're not sitting around in your own head questioning things all day. There's a place to be. You have to do things for people. There's deadlines. And and he got himself out that funk simply by watching me performing on stage, because it reminded him of what it used to be like to be on stage and perform, and he gave himself a kick up the arse and got on with it. And I thought that was beautiful, and that is definitely, whenever someone asks me if ever I'm doing like a podcast or something, and someone says, "What's like one of the highlights of your comedy career?" that always crops up. A second thing I'd like to point out, given that it's Mental Health Week, how are you? How are you? How are you? Ask that question to yourself. I'm asking you. And after this podcast, I really want you to go and ask someone how they are. How are you doing? How are you? Not enough people are asking that. And I tell you something, I found myself in a good few positions over the past couple of months where no one has asked me that, despite me asking them it. Does that make sense? You sometimes just come across people who are just so self-absorbed and so involved in their own wee world about their work or their own life that they just talk about that, and they kind of just talk at you, and you're like, man, I just asked you how you are like 20 minutes ago. Can you not just like throw back that question at me so that we can have a discussion? And I know that sounds super selfish. It's not about you, Davis. But hey, ask me how I am. It's the polite thing to do. So, how are you? I hope you're all right. How am I? Thanks for asking. Things have been slow over the past 6 weeks, I'd say now. Oh, creeping on 7, but by God, am I trying to get out of the funk so much. I'm doing everything in my power to get out of it. And I'll go through the various stages of me trying to get out said funk over the next half an hour. It's been a struggle, man. I think a lot of people were like March and April. Oh my God, what a nightmare. I think just in general, global lockdown was just rearing its ugly head too often. We were told everything was going to open back up in like March 2021, and then people just like tag on an extra 4 or 5 months to the end of that. But I think it was a combination of that and also just complete exhaustion from being running full pelt for the best part of a year, and doing all this mental stuff, trying to figure out the digital world of cameras and sound, editing, trying to write stuff in between that, online shows, a medical experiment, trying to keep it together in general, and just kind of like constantly being aware of your finances instead of just throwing caution to the wind. And you know what I really miss. You know what I tell you what I miss, like, financially, man. What I really miss is going, I'm going to spend this money on that particular thing because I've got a gig next week and that will pay for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know when you've got like a steady income, you can go, well, I can afford that sofa, or I'm going to go and join that gym, or I'm going to go and whatever the hell it is, man. I'm going to go treat myself to something nice online and get it sent to me, and it's going to cost like 100 quid or 200 quid. And you say to yourself, well, it's fine, man, because I've got that gig coming up next week or 3 weeks' time, or that really big, well-paid one next month, and it's going to cover it. So it's fine. I can't wait until that happens again. But anyway, what had happened was I'd generally just been like scraping the bottom of the barrel of creativity, right? And I'll tell you kind of how it goes. Sometimes, see when you're like writing, sometimes it can be like an ocean. And you've just got this massive amount of inspiration, of notebooks. You're kind of, everything is in a brilliant flow of here and there. You're surrounded by all your pals as well that are in said ocean, and you're all just having a bloody big great time. And sometimes the ocean's calm, and sometimes the ocean isn't. Sometimes it's 40-foot waves like thrown around huge tankers the size of 5 football pitches put together. But you get there and it's great, and it's this overwhelming kind of, in a great way, in a good way, you're just like flooded with knowledge and inspiration and creativity. And then sometimes, you're more like a big wide river that, like a big port or something like that, that you're kind of on your way to the ocean, but you're a wee bit inland. And there's a couple of ships passing by, and the water's not flowing as quickly as it normally would in the ocean. And you're like, all right, I can kind of deal with this. I'm still carrying some cargo up and down the Suez Canal. And then sometimes it can even get a wee bit less so. You're a wee bit further inland, and you're just a wee streaky pissy stream. And but keeping it positive, right? You're up like a nice mountain, and you're going a bit of hill walking, and you're just a little trickle of stream, right? You're like a melting glacier, and there's not a lot of flow. There's not a lot of flow, but it's quality. It's good quality. You can get your wee hip flask in there. It's going to have a bit of sheep piss, no doubt, but hey, you can drink that nice Scottish glacier water. So you're still getting something. You're trying to get down the mountain and down the wee grassy moors as much as you can, meander your way to the bigger river, which will eventually take you to the ocean. And then I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you're just a stagnant pond in your next door neighbour's garden that's no been cleaned in about 5 years, and it's got a wee goldfish in there that keeps swimming upside down, and it's got that kind of, that kind of broken cat's net, that net that your neighbours keep over the pond because they don't want cats getting into the fish, and there's like just algae spawning everywhere. Even frogs won't even sit on the lily pads. They're that slidey with algae. Well, that's what I've been. That's what I've been for the past 6 weeks. A big stagnant pond. And that's okay. That's what I've finally come round. It's okay. But this is the thing, man. And a lot of kind people have been telling me that it's okay to be in that position, Chris. Right? You've worked really hard over the year. You've still been doing some things. But listen, man. See when you're like freelance, or you're your own boss. You've got your own business. You're your own kind of artiste. You're kind of constantly giving yourself homework. That's what you're doing. You're constantly giving yourself homework. And you've got to have this work ethic when it comes to creativity. If you really want to make a go at it, you've got to apply the same work ethic that you would do, working at a normal job, right? A 9 to 5 job or whatever it is that you're working. You apply yourself. But the difference is when you're in a job like that, someone's on your back. They're giving you deadlines. They're saying, "Hey, you're late today. You're 10 minutes late. Why?" No one's jumping on your back when you're freelance. No one's shaking you to get up out of bed. And when an alarm goes off to get you out of bed, to kind of like apply that work ethic, it's very easy to just roll over and go, "Well, I just got up in an hour, man. What the hell's the problem? I mean, what's the rush?" So I've been dealing with that, and I'm slowly turning into a big mad river again. It's strange because you lose your get up and go attitude. The best way I can describe it is this. So in terms of not performing, imagine that you love cakes, right? And this is kind of what dries up the creativity and the inspiration and that flow, whether it be an ocean or a wee trickly stream of water coming down a mountain. Is imagine for a minute that you love making cakes, right? And you're really great at making cakes. You love every aspect of making cakes. You love how soft you can get the sponge, how flavoursome you can get the chocolate. You love the thick icing, the thin icing, the watery icing. You even love the pedantic detail of dressing and decorating a cake with icing. You've got all the tools for making perfect cakes. You've got an electric egg beater, some electric scales. You've got the best baking powder. You've got 4 different types of flour. Little chocolate chip things to put on top, right? And also, people really enjoy your cakes. You love making cakes for people because when they eat that cake, their wee cheeks are just filled with amazing chocolate gooiness, and they're so happy, and they waddle home and they tell everyone about your cakes, and then people start buying your cakes. In fact, more than that, people start buying slices of your cakes. So you actually start to monetize on the thing that you love doing. Follow me? And then someone says you can't make cakes anymore. And you go, right. And you go, well, I mean, it's just the way it is. Everyone's in the same position. And you're like, right, how the hell can I kind of make, how can I make cakes? Oh, you're not allowed to make cakes. No one can eat your cakes. It's forbidden for anyone to eat your cakes until we figure out what's going on. And then you're kind of racking your head and you go, fuck man, I was kind of doing well with this cake thing. It was keeping me sane. It was keeping me healthy. I was making money from it. You know what? I actually started to make a proper business from it. And then someone says, look man, why don't you just take pictures of cakes? Why don't you just show people how cakes are made and post it online? I'm sure you'll get likes and stuff. And then you kind of just like hold your head in your hands with disheartedness. Would that be a word? Soul crushing. And you go, well, that's not really what it's about, man. But I tell you what, I'll give it a bash. So you give it a bash. And you get these stupid little likes for a while. And then people start not liking your stuff because they're a bit bored of it and it's not what you do. You don't take pictures of cakes, you make cakes. And they want to taste your cakes and you want them to taste your cakes. So it all just becomes this big, horrible, kind of self-indulgent, like, I don't know how to take a picture of a cake. Yeah, your lighting's all off, Chris. You need a light box. Or do you get a better camera? Why don't you put other little things around your cakes to make it look like... Just fuck off. Fuck off. I don't want to go buy cameras. I don't want to buy lights. I want to make a cake and I want people to eat my cake. That's all I want. That's all I want. So that's the analogy that I come up with from, like, you know, performing live and then doing all this stuff online. I like it. It's fine. It's all right. I love it that you guys watch. But for Christ's sake, man, compare that to being on stage. And I think as well, I was getting like super frustrated. So I've dealt with that, right? I've dealt with the scraping the bottom of the barrel of creativity. I've lost interest in the digital thing, keeping up with appearances, doing the Instagram, the Facebook and stuff. It's honestly, man, hell. There's obviously some people that can do it better, right? And this is the thing, like, I think a lot of people go, yeah, but it's only hashtagging, Chris. It seems very easy. And I've always said this about people, right, that say that. And it's like, there's just, people can do other things better than other people in life. That's just the way it is. Not everyone can do everything, you know what I mean? See, getting on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, it genuinely gives me anxiety. I start, like, breathing heavier. My, like, stress levels increase. And I feel like saying to people sometimes, I just feel like, listen, man, wait a minute. We can all do things differently. I don't want to do this stuff. Maybe you're great at it, and that's why you've got 30,000 followers or whatever it is. Doing your whatever. Taking pictures of cakes better than me. I'll tell you what, man, why don't you get up and stand in front of 100 people and make them laugh for an hour? Ah, come on, it's easy. Ah, come on. No, what? No, I could not do that. No way. You want me to go up and talk to someone in a kind of presentation style? No, I would never do that in my life. No, absolutely no. Anxiety levels through the roof. Stress levels through the roof. There's no way I can ever do that. Don't ever ask me to do it again. Yeah, well, that's something that I can do pretty easily. That's what makes us different, people. But another thing that kind of stressed me out a bit was the way you try and live, the way you try and do things to kind of keep yourself sane, and they turn out to make you worse. So, for example, I'm trying to get myself out the funk last week, and I'm like, look, read. Right, so as soon as I wake up, I start reading. And I'm reading this book just now called, I think it's like 21 Lessons in the 21st Century by this guy called Harari. And look, I'll break it down very quickly. But he's essentially talking about algorithms and the future of where we could possibly go with algorithms. So basically, you know, there's like computer data harvesting and farming, right? that goes on all the time, right? And that is like algorithms that are trying to target specific things for your specific interests, right? Have you ever like just Googled once, you're, juggling in Berlin or juggling in Glasgow because, I don't know, you've had a stupid conversation with someone about that juggling doesn't exist in Glasgow and you Google it. And then all of a sudden on your Facebook and your Instagram, you're getting advertisements for learn how to juggle and Amazon fucking advertisements offering you juggling balls to be delivered free next day and stuff, right? That happens to all of us, right? Or you've been talking about it and all of a sudden it comes up in your feed wherever you are. And people go, that's so strange. That's mental, isn't it? That's absolutely mental. That's so it is. No, it's totally not mental at all. It's totally not. It's exactly what we all know is happening. It's not a conspiracy. They are genuinely listening to the microphones. The cameras are on. And if you type something into Google, you can be sure, you can definitely expect some sort of kind of advertisement to come on to your feed, whatever, right? So what this guy's talking about is when biotechnology and computer data eventually combine, right? Which is already happening. It's just that in about 20 years' time, it's going to be mental, right? Now, instead of a computer looking at your data from when you type something in, biotechnology is essentially going to read the biological happenings of what you're up to. It's going to trace where your retina looks at on the screen. It's going to determine your heart rate. Do you breathe heavier at a particular emotion? Do you get warmer? It's going to detect facial recognition, like do your eyebrows raise up or not? That's like, eyebrows are like a super indication of emotions. And essentially what this was saying is that it wants to do is, basically provide algorithms that are based on the inner workings of your body, your kind of the biology of things. So based on that, based on how your body reacts, it will recommend movies and songs and other targeted stuff like advertisements and businesses and job applications and job offers and all that kind of stuff. Which, yes, indeed, I hear you, is bloody frightening. I don't have time to go into like whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but regardless, it's frightening, right? One of the examples that he gave was, hey, if you're in a bad mood, your Alexa will detect that and it will start playing sad songs. And slowly we'll start playing happier songs until you come out, which will help you come out of your bad mood. That's not how the world works, man, and that's not how people work. Stay in your bad mood. Be in your bad mood and get out of it in your own time. So this was happening, right? So I hear you. I'm like, this is some weird dystopian shit, and I already feel for the past 14 months that I've been inside a dystopian book from Russian 1920s literature. So I closed the book and I said, I'm going to go for a shower. I want to go for a shower and take my mind off this, because it's kind of the first thing that I have ingested and digested intellectually since I woke up. Let's go in for a shower, stick on the radio. And it's an interview with a drone operator from the British Army. He's suffered PTSD. He's been thrown out of the army. He's lost his home. He's got mental health. He's tried to take his own life. And he goes into this mental story about how, as a drone operator, You basically follow a target for days, weeks, or months, and you watch their life, and you're basically investigating them. You're building up a case against them to see if they are terrorists. Once that case is once that kind of investigation, once you've built up your case, you send it to your superiors, they send it to their superiors, and then they will determine if you're supposed to destroy that target. It comes back down the chain of command, it comes to you, you have to destroy the target, so then you blow up this wee guy that you've been watching for the past couple of months. You've been watching his every detail, man. You're not just watching him coming out. You watch him going to the supermarket, you go watch him going for coffee, you watch him talking to his friends over a couple of months. The same friends, you get to know their family. You get to know their family. You get to observe their family is what I mean. You're observing from a faraway place. And the orders come to you to destroy said target, so you destroy it. And then, he's obviously stressed out by this, man. And then one of the things that he said is that you have to continue observing said target and building another case so that like any of the actions that he used to do, have they stopped? Because if they've stopped, then you've got the right guy. If they haven't stopped, you've probably got the wrong guy, and we need to make up a case about some other innocent poor wee guy. And he says, and as I was observing them on the aftermath, I saw the family who I had also been observing for the past couple of months come with a wheelbarrow and pick up all his limbs that have been spread over the street. Jesus Christ! This was 10 o'clock in the morning on Radio 5 Live. This is the thing that I've been exposed to in the first hour of waking up. How are you doing there today, Chris? I'm not gonna lie, mate. I'm feeling a wee bit dazed today for some reason. I'm not quite sure. I can't pinpoint exactly how, but I'm feeling a wee bit confused. Anything in particular that's happened to you? Man, I can't really. And it's so strange. Like what you supposed. I was stressed. I came out the shower, and I was like, my head was buzzing, man. Was buzzing, and it doesn't really matter what you do for the rest of the day, because I'm traumatized by these two things that I've learned. I'm trying to read to take my mind off things and understand that future algorithms are going to be, changing and affecting my emotions within my inner workings of my body. And that there's these atrocities happening, which I am not unaware of, by the way. But when they are suddenly just, they penetrate your brain in the most violent of ways. And then half an hour later, man, I'm sitting all clean with an orange juice and a fucking scrambled egg roll. And I'm like, this world, this life is too complicated, it's too complex. We're exposed to too much on a short period of time. And sometimes you can be sitting there with your orange juice and your scrambled egg roll and you go, am I the only one that is seeing this or experiencing this in the way that I am? Because whenever I go outside, everyone just seems so bloody complacent and oblivious to all this. And the world can be a terrible and evil place. And it is apparently going to become even more terrible and evil. So how do you separate that? And it's no wonder I walk about sometimes in a bloody daze and going, I have no idea how to I've no idea how to compute that information. I can't put it into the right filing cabinets in my head. Because it's not so easy just to go, well, man, sometimes these things happen and you've no control over that. So what else are you supposed to do? Just sit and enjoy your scrambled egg with your orange juice. Just enjoy the moment for what it is. Be in the present. Live in the now. And this is something that's always kind of confused me, is when people say that. Because although I understand the sentiment, it's always been quite interesting to me when people say, oh, God, I have had it said to me a lot, and I understand why people would say it, is that people say, Chris, just, you need to be you need to live in the moment more. You need to be more in the present. And I don't know if I can agree with that so much, because that confuses me. See if I was to live in the present, see if I was to just live in the moment, do you realise that I would be broke and addicted to something in a matter of days? Like, the debaucherous nature of things would get so out of hand that living in the moment would end up in some place that I do not want to be. The reason that we don't always live in the moment, or the reason that I can't just live in the present, is because of this thing called the past and the future, which I like to at least have there, kind of lingering in the wings. Why do we have the past, and why do we focus sometimes on the past? Because the past is learned experiences. Right? Opinion is the essence of true experience, or experience is the essence of true opinion, whatever you want to look at it. You have lived something, dealt with regret or pain, made a mistake, which means that you don't always just fly off the handle and live in the moment. If you were to live in the moment and just go off and live every moment as if it was your last, you already understand the things that have happened in the past that have led to the consequences of you living in the present. The consequences being the future. That's why we don't just go out and do whatever the hell we want. There are consequences. Calculated consequences of our actions. That's what we do. We don't just go out and go punch someone in the face. Why? Because that action is calculated into consequence. You'll understand it. That will come back on you and bite you in the ass at some point. You can't just throw caution at the wind and go out and call a taxi and go out and get shit-faced for a week. The consequences are palpable and obvious. I guess I just don't understand it the same way as other people do. But, speaking of time in that way, of past, present and future, what I like to do is I like to read a lot of Terry Pratchett, or therapy, as I like to call him, and therapy is the English is the German word for therapy, and I kind of like that. I like to just get lost in some therapy, some Terry Pratchett books, and I came across a great kind of little section of his book, and it was breaking down time, and basically, this clock master, he takes a clock apart, and it helps him understand what time is, because when a clock is on the wall and you're looking at it, time is very abstract. It's very difficult to comprehend and even explain. But if you take the physical clock off the shelf and you take it apart, you can see all the cogs, you can clean all the cogs, and the little different springs and pieces of machines that actually make the clock work. and you lay it out on the table, and it gives you a better understanding of what time is because you can see all the little moving parts. And you give it a little clean and you put it back together, and then it becomes abstract again. But at least you've got a better understanding of its inner workings. And it made me think that I really wish life worked like that. I really wish you could just at some point, because life in itself is so abstract and so confusing and sometimes frightening, that you could just somehow take it apart and give it a little clean and put it back together again. And there's only one thing that I've ever come across in my life that has helped me be able to do that, and that's psychedelics. And yeah, I guess maybe I have to go do some magic mushrooms or something, because that does help. Well, look guys, I mean, I had loads to say, but I don't really want to. I feel that I've went down a nice journey there of kind of discussing the mental health side of things, where I'm at, where I've been. I'm sorry if it was a bit kind of self-indulgent this time. I think a lot of the times I like to kind of try and throw in a wee bit of kind of comedy in there or something, but I think this was light-hearted enough. And I think it kind of got across a point that things can be tough and things can be weird and things can be scary, but you'll pop out the other side and you'll be fine. Listen, that was Dim in the Light. I always enjoy it that you tune in. Thank you for tuning in. If you've any questions, feel free to fire me some questions. Like I said, it's Mental Health Week. If you think that anyone might enjoy this, just for this week, send them something. Send them this episode, man. Send them this episode. And as soon as you get off, in the next 30 seconds, after I say goodbye, I want you to ask the closest person, how are you? I mean, you'll be a creeper if you're on the train listening to this and you just turn around to a random person and ask them how they are. But you know what I mean. Go ask someone how they are. Alright guys, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again.